Now, to delve deeper about this latest issue, joining us live now this morning is Jessica Stone, our VOA correspondent from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Jessica. We last spoke after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. This time we're going onto the other side of the presidential election. We're going to talk about Biden this morning. Now, we do know that the presidential debate took place several weeks ago. What do you think led to President Joe Biden's decision this past weekend?
Well, he had some time to think with his close advisors there at his beach home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, when he was diagnosed with COVID and left the campaign trail on Wednesday. And he really didn't tell anyone, we understand, until he announced around 1:45 today on Sunday, just a few hours ago now, of course, because we're behind you all on time. He didn't tell anybody until he put it on social media saying, quote, "While it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down." Top Biden aides finding out just a minute before, no warning to top Democrats who had some of which, especially Nancy Pelosi, the former House Speaker and a very prominent and powerful Democrat who had been working the phones to coax him to relinquish the nomination. She didn't know either. But as you say, this comes after that 3-week old debate performance. And it wasn't just the debate performance, Paul. It was the 3 weeks of a drumbeat in which more and more Democrats, up to 3 dozen, calling for him to step down because they were worried not only that he couldn't beat Donald Trump, but that he was going to literally hand the House and the Senate and local elections to the Republican Party, and so that this would be a colossal defeat. He was also, Biden was told by key donors that they would no longer support him. And so when the money dries up, you got to give up sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, especially knowing that the next debate was not going to take place for a couple more months to begin with. So we know that the news is still fairly fresh. What's the reaction been on the ground so far?
It's really been interesting to watch. I've been riveted to be reading and watching, like so many Americans, even though it's a Sunday afternoon and there's probably lots of people who are out at the pool or out on a golf course somewhere. But we've seen a variety of reactions, which is interesting to see in the Democratic Party. Many elected officials saying, well, all of them united in praising Biden for stepping down, calling him a patriot, thanking him for his 50 years of public service, calling him loyal to the country. But here's where the similarities end. Not everybody went ahead and endorsed Kamala Harris, his vice president, as he did. And that's what's interesting here. We saw in particular the Clintons did, but President Obama and Michelle Obama releasing a statement in which they did not outright endorse her candidacy. And there have been calls inside the Democratic Party, as people are reacting, for an open convention in which there may still be an opportunity for other Democrats to run for the top of the ticket. But it increasingly looks likely that Vice President Harris is working the phones. Her own statement has said that she is going to earn the nomination. She is not looking to have the perception of being a coronated queen. Another, of course, source of reaction here is the Republican Party, and they've been very harsh, essentially saying if you are not able to run for the nomination, you should no longer be in government at all. You should step down from the presidency. Trump himself saying crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was.
Okay, interesting that you should bring that up, Jessica, because if the Democratic Party does not come together to back Kamala Harris, we know the Democratic National Convention does not happen until the 19th of August. So what's the process going forward from today until then, at least?
Yeah, political nerds here in Washington are just salivating because this would be an open convention in which there isn't a likely nominee. Even if Vice President Harris is the most likely nominee, they still have to go through the process of having the delegates who previously were sworn to support Biden either support Harris or another nominee. And a majority of those 4,700 Democratic delegates going to the convention are sworn to support Biden. But will they in fact do so when they get there? They must decide what they will do. And one factor that's important here for Harris is that not only has she been in the national spotlight and is she privy to all of the national security briefings and whatnot, but $96 billion in a campaign cash that was raised for the Biden-Harris ticket can go to her if she wins the nomination. It is unlikely that anyone is going to run against Harris, but we'll see. There may be an opportunity to see that happen. We do know that there's been some polling on Trump versus Harris and on Harris against other Democrats as a possible nominee. 3 out of 4 Democrats in an ABC Ipsos poll saying that they do support her nomination. She is, as I said, working the phones, calling donors, delegates, Democratic officials all afternoon and likely into the night to get their support, to get them locked in so that there isn't anyone who really puts up any kind of competition for her at the convention. At this point, though, there's another big question out there: who would be her running mate? That question is still going to be very interesting to watch that evolve. Again, just about 100 days until the next convention. Not a lot of time. She's in the best position logistically to get the nomination and to take the ticket to November.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much. We're going to continue to follow this story along as it develops. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your weekend to chat with us this morning.
It's always a pleasure, Paul.
All right, that was our VOA correspondent, Jessica.